Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to the third special video of the Second and 10 Cutter's Reimagining thing, and we are going to take a look at the standings for all the franchises. We are going to go through all the teams and their starters. So the encyclopedia gives you the team, their win-loss tie record in the NFL era, their best passer, the best rusher, receiver, and the best coach around. We give you playoff wins, losses, wild card appearances, divisions, conferences, titles, and championships. So based on conferences, the championships, this is who won. Green Bay won 11, Stanford won 8. I don't know what 6 is. Brady, Smith, and Rice. I don't know what they're talking about with that one with 6 championships. But anyway, Dallas with 6 titles, Chicago with 6, the Colts with 6 championships, the Giants with 5, the Rams with 5, Philly with 5, Miami with 5, 4 by Cleveland, 4 by the Cardinals, 3 by Denver, 2 by Washington, Pittsburgh, New England, Cincy, Minnesota, Detroit, Chargers, and Seattle. The Chiefs with 1, Saints with 1, the Titans with 1, and Atlanta with 1, but none for the Raiders, who went, look at this, 19 and 27 in the postseason. 3 conference wins but no titles. The Jets 0-3 as well. 11-13 in the postseason. Buffalo 0-1 in finals. Baltimore 0-1 in finals. Tampa 0-1 in finals. Carolina, Jacksonville, Houston, and the Texans. Well, the Texans, the Yankees. Or they're Carolina 3-9 in the postseason. Jacksonville 4-9 in the postseason. Houston 2-4 in the postseason. So yeah, so those guys not getting a break. We go by wins in the NFL. Green Bay 741, the Giants 659, Washington third with 646. I know it's based on age. The worst were Houston 144, Jacksonville 194, Carolina 204. Winning percentage. The Cowboys 56.1%. Miami had the best win, tied 56.1%, and Green Bay 55.9%. So, of all those games, also at 500, Denver, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Baltimore, New England, the Raiders, the Chiefs, Washington, the Rams, Colts, Buffalo, Cleveland, Seattle, and Cincy just above 500, and the Chargers right at 500, if you will, with those 2 ties. Saints 49%, the lowest percentage. Houston 39%, Tampa 40.7, and Atlanta 42.6. This puts back Atlanta had won a title. The best passers and all that. So we're gonna go with stats like. Most field goals ever. Vinatieri 636, Gary Anderson 553, Warner Anderson 533. So some of the best field goal kickers of all time. I wonder who the worst field goal kickers were. Bob Timberlake was 0-9 on field goals. Brian Spielman 0-8. Yeah, they're just reports and all that. Highlights for all franchises for silver. Most points won team. Detroit 76 points in 1934 against Cincy. Pittsburgh 72 points with the 79 Steelers second, and the Rams 68 points in 1955 against Detroit, took third. In the regular season, most points by both teams. The record 111 Bears and Rams from 1950, 56-55. That's amazing. We should check that box score. Ben Brocklin versus Lou Jack. Man, what a crazy game it was. See the scoring and all that. Wasn't decided till 52 seconds left. Saints and Rams from 2000, 55-49. That was number 2, 104 points combined. Warner against Aaron Brooks. Saints almost won it, but that second quarter, Falk for a touchdown run, Warner to Holt. Falk touchdown run, Falk touchdown. 55-49. And Buffalo Miami from 1987 had 103 points combined. Jim Kelly and Dan Marino went nose to nose. Though Kelly threw 3 interceptions, that's why Miami, I think, in a sense, won that game. As you can see, it was actually 48-48 till Hampton got a touchdown run. And 3, Buffalo Vegas 2020. Well, it went to overtime. Buffalo won in overtime 54-48. That was number 4. Cincy Dallas from 1988 went 101 points. Detroit went in overtime from Minnesota 101 points. Most points, one team. Yeah, Detroit 76-0 over Cincy. That Cincy team had nothing going for them. Dutch Clark threw for 3 touchdowns and 6 completions. Yeah, rushing the ball, Dutch Clark had 3 touchdowns running and 3 touchdowns passing. 32-17 against Baltimore. Bradshaw took down Greg Landry. Even Krusak came in 2 for 2 and he threw a touchdown pass. And then in the fourth quarter, Glenn Swan. That's funny. Flyer and Ford and 170 yards and 143 yards. I think that was the most rushing yards. And the 68 points for the Rams against the Lions. Marvin Brocklin. He threw for only 3 touchdowns. Waller? For 3 touchdown runs of his own. Yeah, Bobby Lane threw 7 interceptions. At least the Lions scored points. You know, Cleveland 1954 was 66. Cleveland 1960 had 65. The Giants 65 in 1963. Fewest points by both teams. Of course, 0-0. Minnesota and Green Bay actually went 0-0 in 2016. How? 31,000 fans and they actually tied 0-0? How? I don't get it. Was it some kind of weather related thing? Had to be some kind of issue. 44, 50, 52, 75. Dallas beat New England 3-0 on a Fritz field goal. Jim Plunkett 4 for 20. Frick. Green Bay won 3-0 over Miami 2006 on a Rainer field goal. Favre 19 for 27. Harrington 22 for 34. Wow, must have been heavy rain. Yeah, I would say so. 5 points in 1986. Giants beating the Redskins 5-0. Sims beat Schroeder. 5-0. 6 points, 37, 38, 52, 56, 1957, 1974 for Jacksonville, but that was the World Football League. Pats 6-0 win over Philly. Jaworski lost to Steve Grogan, October 1978. Giants 6-0 in 1983. Haji Sheik with a pair of field goals as Brunner beat Weisman. Green Bay 6-0 in 1988. Pair of field goals by Senhejas as Randy Wright went 15 for 28. And Philly 6-0 in 1988 against Dallas. Dean Dorsey, pair of field goals. He used to play for the Argos. Cunningham took down Danny White. Most points in a shutout. Detroit 76-0. The Rams shut out the New York Bulldogs 64-0 in 1949. Cleveland 63-0 over Washington. 1984, Seattle puts up 62 points in a shutout against Detroit. Craig took down Danielson. David Craig threw for 7 touchdowns. 6 different Seahawks had a touchdown. Johns, Young, Turner, Walker with 2, Dornick, and Lane. Boy, Detroit must have really sucked that year. 62-0. Cleveland 63-0 against Washington. In 1950, it was Otto Graham. Gillum threw 1 touchdown, 1 pass, and it was a touchdown to Max Beatty. Gilmer. Miami had a 59-0 shutout of the Cardinals in 1972. The Pearl Morrow took down Gary Cuozzo. And that one 59-0. Ricky Morris 3 touchdown runs. Colts had a 58-0 shutout over Atlanta. 56. Fewest points in a shutout. Well, not fair. Most points had half by one team. The Seahawks 59 points against Detroit in the first half of their 1984 game, and then they only scored 3 points the rest of the way. Cleveland 56 points in 1950, and Detroit 1934 against Cincy in that 76-0 game, 55 points in the first half. One half. The most points in the second half was the Cardinals scoring 42 points in the second half against Dallas in 1960. You see right there, Green Bay had a 42-point second half against Detroit. They won 45-42. What a great job they did. And another third. And Kansas City put up 42 points in the second half against Seattle. Most points at half by both teams. 73 points Rams, Philly, 1950. The Rams were up. If I do the math right, 35, no, Philly was up 38-35, and then not much. 66 points, Rams and Cardinals, 1949 first half, and then Philly Buffalo first half in 2011. Put up all those points, but Philly 66 points, and then there were 7 points by Philly in the third quarter, and that was it. I really want to see that one. Fitzpatrick versus Vic. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Look at all this scoring in the first half. Second half, 63 points, Detroit and San Francisco in November 1957. And then Detroit Green Bay, second half, 63 points combined. And 63 points Seattle and Kansas City combined. Okay. Most points in a quarter by one team. 35 by Cleveland's second quarter against Washington. The Rams, 35 points in 1961. 5 touchdowns against Minnesota. And you see a lot of 35s. Miami scored 35 points in the first quarter against the Cardinals. The fourth quarter, the Chargers scored 5 touchdowns against the Falcons, and Kansas City got 5 touchdowns in the third quarter against Seattle. Most points in the quarter by both teams. 45 by the Rams and Niners second quarter in 2018. Oh, 2018, eh? That was interesting. Jared Goff taking on C.J. Bearhart. So yeah, look at the second half. Morris made 14-7. Rams tied it. Then get the lead. Gurley. And then Beatrice to Kittle. Gurley, Sirloin. 42 points San Fran Detroit to start off their game in 1954. That ended up tied. And then 42 points. A lot of 42s on the board. The second quarter. Third quarter, 42 points between Kansas City and Seattle, but Kansas City had 5 touchdowns. Fourth quarter, the high scoring, New Orleans and Tennessee in 2011 went 42 points. Went Mano Breeze and Drake Locker. Saints were up 23-14, then touchdown, then Locker. The Williams were touchdown and 2 points. Breeze to Sproles, they missed a 2-point. Locker got a touchdown run, but 2 LTL. Comebacks. Greatest comeback ever. The Colts against Washington. They were down by 28. They were down by 28 after the first quarter to Washington and Gilmer. Tinto. But Wyatt Tinto put up 6 touchdowns. Gilmer threw 7 interceptions. That's why, yeah, Washington was up 28-0. Gilmer threw his only touchdown, 2 touchdown runs, and a punt return by Dudley. Baltimore Colts were down by 28 to the Bears. Who scored the first 4 touchdowns in Baltimore, but Johnny Unitas led them to the comeback. Jacksonville was down 28 points to Houston in 2018. Houston was up 35-7. Deshaun Watson could not contain Blake Bortles. 35-14. Yeah, Houston didn't score a point after 35-7, and then Yeldon got the touchdown run. Wow, that's amazing. Down by 28. Lots of people down by 25. The Steelers were down by 25 to the Ravens in 2007 and came back to win. Passing attempts. one game. McNabb, 73 for Philly at Washington, winning 20-17. Drew Bledsoe, 66 attempts against Green Bay, October 94, losing the game. And then Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, both with 65. Manning in a loss, Brady in a win. Okay. There's Scott Mitchell, 64. Most pass completions in a game in the regular season. Breeze, 47 against Atlanta in 2010, losing the game. Then Breeze had 44 in 2019 at against San Francisco and won. J.B. Martin, 43 for 52 against Arizona in 2005, and he won the game. Jamie Martin? Well, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Jim, 43 each. Highest completion percentage was Peyton, 96.7%, 29 for 30 against Seahawks with the win. Derek Carr against the Chargers in 2019 with a win for Oakland, 29 for 30. Tony Romo, 26 for 27 one time against the Giants, winning the game. Brandon Whedon, 26 for 27 for the Cowboys against Atlanta, September 2015. Brandon Whedon? Taysom Hill, 25 for 26 one game for the Saints. Most passing yards. Tom Brady, 573 for the Pats against the Ravens in a 48-42 win. Then 571 November 2011, losing to the Saints and Drew Brees, I guess. Norman Brocklin, 545 yards. Oh, that's Eli Manning, sorry. Why am I thinking Tom Brady? But Eli's second, 571 in a loss to the Saints. Norman Brocklin, 545 against the Bears. 56-55. Your final in a loss. Dan Fouts, 542 for the Chargers against Oakland, September 1980 in a win. Dak Prescott, 541 at Seattle. 2020. Okay. That's what they said. Most passing touchdowns was 7. Sammy Baugh was the first to do it. Washington, 1945 against the Bears. Sonny Jurgensen for Philly, 1960 against Pittsburgh. Dave Craig, 7 touchdowns against Detroit, 1984. Boomer Esiason, 7 against Dallas for Cincy, 1988. Brad Johnson had a 7 touchdown day against Detroit, November 1985. Vinny Testaverde, 7 touchdown day against the Ravens, September 98. Peyton Manning, September 2004 against Tennessee for the Colts. And Irv Comp, 6 touchdowns. Okay. Most passes intercepted. Most passing attempts without an interception. Scott Mitchell, 64. Well, when he went 30 for 64 against Tampa in a loss. Dak Prescott, 63 without one. And Teddy Bridgewater, 62 against Tampa. Most times sacked. Blake Bortles, 16. Archie Manning got sacked 13 times for the Saints against the Raiders in 71. But Randy Johnson, not the pitcher. The Giants. Tim Couch got sacked 13 times in one game. Ian Book against Miami 2021 when they lost. The Notre Dame guy. Individual most rushing yards in one game. Frank Gore, 337 for San Fran at Seattle in a win. Natron Means had a 329 game at Washington, December 98. Natron Means, wasn't that long? LaShawn McCoy, 325 for the 2013 Eagles against the Bears. O.J. Simpson, 312 for the Bills, 1975 against the Jets. Priest Holmes, 302 against the Chargers. Frank Gore had a 302 game against the Packers. Jim Brown, 298. Most rushing touchdowns. 6 by Marshall Faulk against the Saints in a 55-49 win. The shootout win, if you will. Earl Campbell had a 5 touchdown day for the 79 Oilers. Larry Kinnebrew, 5 touchdowns for the 85 Bengals. Wow. Emmitt Smith had a 5 touchdown day, 92. Barry Sanders, 94. J.J. Johnson, 99. Wow. Adrian Peterson, 2013. LaShawn McCoy, 2016. David Johnson, 2016. Kareem Hunt, 2017. Music. Receiving yards. Most receiving yards in one game. Bert Emanuel, 16 catches, 307 against the Pats, October 1995 in a 38-30 to win. Bobby Mitchell of Washington, 304 yards for the 63 Redskins at Pittsburgh. Wes Chandler had a 300-yard game, September 1985 for the Chargers at Cincinnati. Mike Quick and Keenan McCardell right at the top 5. Receiving touchdowns. Tommy McDonald, 5 touchdown catches for the Eagles against the 60 Steelers. Chris Carter, 5 touchdowns for the Vikings against Detroit. and a loss. A lot of people with 4. Most field goals made in a game. Rich Carlos had 8 for the Broncos in '84 against the Bills. Fred Cox 7 in 1968 for Minnesota. Bruce Gossett had a 7 in '73. Tony Franklin 1979 had 7. Tony Frisch had 7 for the Oilers in 1979. Jim Breach 1983. Kerry Blanchard 1996. Ryan Lindell 04 Bills. Brendan McManus 15 Broncos. Longest field goals. Elder Greco 63-yard. Bruce Gossett had a 62-yard field goal at home against the Rams. Brendan McManus for Denver at Jacksonville had a 62-yard. Clark Hinkle had a 61-yard field goal. Wow. Ted Frisch. Most 50-yard field goals made in a game. 5 by John Carney for the Chargers against the Rams in 1991. Wow. Bill Dawson had 5 of those 50-yard kicks for the 2015 Giants. Wow. Yasuki Masetti Bernershka. Player with the most punts in one game. 17 for Dave Jennings of the 74 Giants in a 10-10 tie with Kansas City. Tom Blanchard of the 76 Saints, second against San Francisco. Dave Jennings 15 punts in 1977 against Philly. In a win, though. Okay. Most kickoff return yards in a game goes to Clifton Smith, 306 yards for the 09 Bucks at Philadelphia. Amos Marsh, the 62 Cowboys, 305. And Devin Hester, 2013 Bears, number 3, 299. Punt return yards in a game. Trevor Inslee, well, that's a different league. Nate Lewis, 267 yards for the Chargers against the Jets in 1990. George McAfee, 256 for the 41 Bears. And Billy White Shoes Johnson for the 77 Oilers. Returns, most sacks in one game by a player. 6 for Rhett Hall, 1997 for the Eagles against Arizona. Sean Phillips, 6 sacks for the 2012 Chargers against the Jets. And then the mark was 5. Most interceptions in a game, 5 by only 2 people. Chuck Clanton, but that was differently. Carl Howard, 5 for the Jets against the Giants. Other people had 4 defensive touchdowns. The first guy with 2 was Chris Cagle. A lot of people with 2. Down the list, all the way to Marshawn Lattimore with 2 for 2017 Saints. Most points scored in a game was 36 points by Jim Brown, 6 touchdowns. He had 4 running and 2 catching touchdowns against the Cowboys, I think on Thanksgiving Day, November 1963. That day looks familiar. November 24th. 2 days. Well, they did it, well, take away JK's death. Did that Marshall Falk, 36 points. Kareem Hunt, 6 touchdowns, 5 running, 1 passing, 1 catching. Paul Hornung, well, for a kicker, 34 points. Because he did the kicking and all that. All the points against Detroit. And the most by a guy without a touchdown. Yeah, there's 2, 5 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns with 5. I wonder who has the most without a touchdown, without getting a touchdown. I think that's impossible to know. Oh, Ryan Lindell had 27 points against Seattle in 2004. 6 point afters and 7 field goals. And he didn't need a touchdown. Okay. Most touchdowns scored in one game with pair with 6. Well, I know. Should be logic. Those 3 guys are 6. Okay, so that's the regular season. So that's the regular season. We're going to talk about it in the playoffs for another video. So stay tuned. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diving to do.